The market was full of noise-barking sellers, laughing aliens, bright banners waving in the desert wind, but in the corner, behind a faded curtain, sat a mother with no price tag. Her clothes were torn, her long silver hair dull, and in her lap rested a small, silent child with glowing blue eyes. They were both too quiet, too still. Like statues waiting to be forgotten, no one stopped. No one cared. Some looked, frowned, then moved on. Others whispered, "She's broken, can't even speak galactic." A few laughed, "You'd be better off buying a malfunctioning cleaner bot." But still, she sat, her arms wrapped gently around the child, as if shielding her from the world with nothing but bones and willpower. The trader stood nearby, chewing dried root. "Special offer," he muttered to passersby. "Half price for both. Mother and child combo. Come on, anyone?" But he didn't shout. He knew no one would come. That was until he walked in. The human. Dust on his boots. A patch on his shoulder. His quiet eyes that had seen war, hunger, and heartbreak. He wasn't rich. His clothes were plain. He didn't carry guards or hover drones. Like the other buyers, he carried only a pack and a canteen. Yet when he walked through the market, people moved aside, not out of fear, but because something in his presence said he sees everything. And he did. He stopped in front of the curtain. He looked at the alien mother. Then he looked at her child. He didn't speak. For 10 long seconds, nothing moved. Then the child slowly lifted her head and looked into his eyes. The human crouched down, resting one arm on his knee. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The mother didn't answer. Her lips trembled. Her hands held the child tighter, as if she thought he might try to take her. The trader chuckled nervously. "Don't mind her, friend." "Much. Used to be a high-born servant, they say. War ruined her. The girl's barely 5 cycles old. Good genes, at least." The human didn't respond to the trader. He reached into his bag and pulled out a wrapped biscuit. He held it out not to the mother, but to the child. The child stared at it like it was a crown made of gold. Still, the mother didn't move. Her eyes followed the biscuit, but her body remained still as stone. Finally, the child looked up at her mother. Her voice was soft. "Mama, can I?" The mother didn't speak, but something broke in her face. Not tears, just a tiny nod. The smallest motion. And the child reached out with shaking fingers and took the biscuit from the human's hand. She ate like she hadn't tasted food in days. The human looked at the mother again. "You're not property," he said, "and I'm not here to buy you." The trader rolled his eyes. "Then why are you here? Go pet a street dog if you're feeling generous." The human stood up, straightened his back, and spoke clearly. "I want to register her." "Register her?" the trader repeated, confused. "As family," the human said. "I'll sponsor her. Full name claim. Legal under Earth law." The market went silent. Even nearby sellers turned to look. The trader scoffed. "She's not even your species. Why would you do that?" The human looked the alien mother in the eyes and answered quietly, because no one else did. The mother blinked. Her lips parted. Slightly, her arms loosened, just enough for the child to lean forward. She looked at the human, crumbs still on her mouth. "Does that mean we go with you?" the child whispered. The human nodded once. "If you want to." The mother swallowed. Hard. Her voice cracked as if the words had been buried deep for years. "I don't have name anymore." The human reached into his pack and pulled out a folded cloth. He placed it on her lap. It was a scarf. Clean, earth-made. "You do now," he said. "You'll take mine." And that's when her tears came, silent, warm, and real. The market didn't cheer, no music played, but something changed in that dusty corner. A moment that would ripple through systems and stories for years to come. Because that day, a human gave more than food or money. He gave her a name, and that changed everything. Asterisk she woke up in clean sheets for the first time in years. The fabric was rough by luxury standards, but to her it felt like clouds. The quiet hum of the small dwelling, the soft glow from the ceiling light. In the distant sound of a kettle hissing, it was all so unfamiliar, it made her heart race. She reached to her side instinctively, and there her daughter lay, curled up peacefully, her belly full, and her skin no longer ice-cold. The human Jace, that was his name. He had brought them here last night without asking for anything. No demands, no questions, no cuffs, just a soft blanket, warm food, and a spare bed. She sat up slowly, not making a sound, afraid even breathing too loud might break the dream. Her fingers touched the scarf he had given her. She had washed it in the sink, folded it carefully, and laid it on her lap like a holy thing. That scarf had his family mark stitched into one corner. By giving it to her, he had declared her part of his bloodline, something sacred on his planet. She didn't know why he did it, but it made her chest ache in ways she didn't understand. She stood, quietly walked to the doorway, and peeked into the small kitchen. He was there, boiling tea and toasting bread on a pan, humming a human tune. When he noticed her, he didn't look surprised or annoyed, simply smiled and nodded toward the seat. "Sit. You and your little one need a meal," he said. "I'll pack some extra for the clinic visit." She blinked.
Clinic?
Jay set a mug on the table. "You're both getting checked today. That girl's ribs. She's too thin. And you. Yeah, yo. Your voice, the way your hands shake, I can tell. You haven't rested in weeks." She looked down, ashamed, but also touched. No one had cared about her condition for so long. She forgot what it felt like to be seen. She sat and took the mug with two hands, holding it close as if it might vanish. He slid a plate of toast toward her daughter, who had wandered in behind her mother, yawning and rubbing her glowing blue eyes. "What's her name?" Jace asked, keeping his tone soft. The woman hesitated. Then she whispered, "Velia." He smiled. "That's a good name. Suits her. Strong." Velia looked up at him with a mixture of confusion and awe. "Why are you doing all this for us?" Jace sat down across from them, taking a sip from his own mug. "I lost someone once. She was supposed to be mine, but I couldn't protect her. She wasn't even human, but I still loved her." Velia tilted her head. "Like Mama," he nodded. "Yes, like your Mama. And I promised myself, if I ever had the chance to stop someone else from being thrown away, I'd take it." The woman looked at him then, not just with fear or confusion, but with something deeper. A flicker of belief, maybe even trust. After breakfast, they walked to the town's small med center. Eyes followed them. Some whispered, some mocked. "There goes the human who married a street slave," one alien hissed to her companion. Jace didn't respond, but the woman noticed how his jaw clenched just slightly. Not from shame, but from restraint. He heard every word, but refused to let it poison the moment inside the clinic. The nurse was half carrion, her skin striped with natural ink markings. She blinked when she saw the woman, then looked at Jace. "You're sponsoring her?" "Yes," he said firmly. "Full rights. Legal adoption if needed. Earth registry included." The nurse frowned. "You understand that makes her part of your house?" "I do." She glanced at the woman. "You're lucky, miss. Few humans give their names away so freely." "I didn't give it away," Jace said, his voice calm but strong. "She earned it." Velia was checked first. Malnourished, but no disease. She was given vitamins, soft shoes, and a lollipop she had no idea how to eat. She sucked it awkwardly, smiling wide as the flavor filled her mouth. Then it was the mother's turn. Scanner beeped and clicked. Bones thin, scars on her back. She flinched every time the device touched her. The nurse frowned. "Your stress levels are too high. You haven't eaten properly in months. You need rest. Long rest." "I don't deserve," the woman started to say. Jace stepped closer. "You deserve everything you were denied. You're going to get it now." She looked at him, her breath caught. Then, to the nurse's surprise, she nodded. Outside the clinic, as they walked home, she reached for his hand. Not to pull him closer. Not for protection, but to hold it, just hold it. He didn't say a word, just let her. And in that silent moment, with nothing but footsteps on dusty stone and a child humming beside them. She wore his name, not like a burden, but like armor. Asterisk, the wind was stronger up in the hills, where the city lights didn't reach, and the ground was still scarred from old battles. Broken stone walls lay like skeletons, and shattered metal from forgotten drones stuck out of the ground like rusted teeth. It was here that Jace brought them. The mother walked slowly behind him, holding Velya's hand. She didn't understand why they had come to such a lonely place, but she trusted him more now. Her feet still ached, her stomach still twisted when she heard raised voices, but something inside her was healing. Jace stopped at a blackened tree with roots that curled above the soil. He placed his bag down and said, "This is where I buried her." The mother said nothing. "She was like you," he continued. "An alien, broken when I found her. They called her weak, damaged, a waste." He crouched and brushed dust off. A small flat stone. It had no writing, no markings, just a single flower placed on top a new one, fresh from today. "She saved my life," he whispered, "and I couldn't save hers." Velya's small fingers tightened around her mother's hand. "I bring her a flower every week," Jace said, not looking up. "Today, I want you both to meet her." The woman stepped forward slowly. She didn't speak, but she knelt beside him. Her fingers brushed the edge of the flat stone. She could feel the pain buried under it, not just grief, guilt, love that had nowhere to go. Velya placed a pebble beside the flower.
"Oh,"
she said softly. "We're your family now too." Jace smiled, but his eyes were full. They stayed there until the wind grew colder, then returned to town. That night, the woman lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. Her daughter slept beside her, breathing calm and even. But her own heart beat fast. He had shared his pain with her, something no one had done in years. He didn't treat her like a thing. He shared space, he shared loss, and without asking, he shared his future. The next day, she woke early, before Jace, before Velya. She boiled water, copied how he made tea, and folded his jacket the way she saw him do it. She didn't want to repay him with silence anymore. When he came into the room, she looked at him and said clearly, "My old name was Talra, but if I'm part of your house, I want a name from your world too." Jace raised his eyebrows, not expecting that. "You deserve to choose it yourself," he said gently. She hesitated then. "Tell me yours again, Jace Morrow." "Morrow," she whispered. "I'll be Talra Morrow." He smiled. "Then it's official." Later that week, they went to the registration center. The clerk, a wrinkled old woman with cybernetic eyes, blinked when she saw the document. "You sure?" she asked Jace. "She'll be protected under your name. If anyone files against her, it hits your record. Even Earth law won't shield you from certain contracts." "I'm sure," Jace said. The clerk stamped it. "You're not the first human to fall for alien beauty, but you might be the first to fall for her soul." Talra stood beside him, her hands shaking slightly. When they stepped outside, it was official. She had a home. She had protection. She had a name. And even though her skin still bore scars from her past, even though her back still ached, she walked taller that day. But not everyone was happy about it. That night, a message appeared outside their door, painted in red. Rough letters: "You bring trash into our town, and you'll be buried with it." Talra gasped when she saw it. She reached for Velya, who was playing on the floor, and held her close. Jace came home minutes later and froze when he saw the message. His jaw clenched, his fingers curled into fists. "I'll report it," he said, but Talra stepped in front of him. "No," she said. "I want to speak." He stared at her. "You said I wear your name now? Then let me protect it too." The next morning, she stood in the town square with Velya by her side. People stared, some laughed, others whispered. She held a board. It read, in bold letters, "I was sold. Now I'm free, thanks to a human who saw me." Some ignored her. A few threw trash at her feet, but one young alien girl walked up, stared at the sign, then hugged her, then another, then a third. Jace watched from afar. eyes narrowed. This wasn't just about rescue anymore. This was about something bigger. And he knew now he hadn't just saved her. Together. They were going to change everything, the next day. A knock came before sunrise. It wasn't gentle. Jack opened the door slowly, his hand already near his belt knot where a weapon rested, but where instinct told him danger might come. Outside stood 2 armored enforcers, silver helmets catching the morning light, and behind them, a woman in a polished council robe with sharp red patterns. Her eyes scanned the room behind him like she already knew who lived there. "Jace Morrow," she said. "By order of the local council, you are requested to appear for inquiry regarding your sponsorship of a non-native citizen." Jace didn't flinch. "You can ask your questions right here." Talra stepped into view, holding Velia close. The girl peeked out from her mother's scarf, sleepy but alert. The councilwoman's lips curled faintly. "Your presence has stirred tension. Traders say business is being affected. Some claim you've encouraged unrest, harboring an undocumented alien slave, sponsoring her, giving her your name. These are not small things." "She was not a slave," Jace replied. "She was abandoned. There's a difference. She's not of your species. That never stopped kindness before." The enforcer took a step forward. Jace didn't move, but his stance shifted slightly. "Ready." The councilwoman held up her hand. "Calm yourself, human. I'm not here to arrest you. Not yet. But the council demands answers. If you won't come willingly, we'll make it official." "You'll have your answers," Jay said calmly. "But I'm not leaving her or the child alone. Ever." Later that morning, he walked into the inquiry hall with Talra and Velia beside him. The room was large and cold, filled with alien officials. Monitors on the walls showing public footage clips of Talra's protests in the town square. The painted threat outside their home, and even the moment Jace registered her under his name, he stood at the center. Talra remained at the edge with Velia in her lap. One of the elders, a thin creature with tentacle-like hair, tapped a datapad. "Human male, your actions are unusual. Why would a soldier like you choose to give your Earth-legal surname to an alien woman?" "Because no one else did," Jace answered. "She is not a war hero, nor a citizen. She carries no wealth, no trade skill. What is she to you? She's someone who should never have been thrown away. Is she your mate?" Silence. Then Jace looked at Talra. She didn't lower her eyes. For once, she looked back. "Not yet," he said, voice steady. "But I hope someday she will be, on her terms." Murmurs filled the room. Some sneered, some smiled faintly. Few seemed deeply uncomfortable. The elder leaned forward. "And the child? She's his daughter now, too," Talra said suddenly. Her voice loud and clear. "Everyone turned to her. I gave birth to her alone. I begged for food with her in my arms, was spit on, ignored, and used. But he gave her something I couldn't. He gave her a father." Jace placed a hand on her shoulder, not possessively, supportively. Velia stood up beside her mother and shouted, "He gave me a bed and toast." A few council members couldn't hide their laughter. "She's yours now?" one asked. "Completely," Jace said. "In blood? No. But in everything that matters." Nice. The councilwoman who came to his door now looked at them differently, you understand. She said, voice lower now, "If we approve this, you will be watched, judged, held to a higher standard. She breaks any law, you'll be punished too. Are you still willing?" "I didn't take her in because it was easy," Jace said. "I took her in because no one else had the spine too." The room was quiet. Then the council's ruling screen blinked. Green approved, no applause followed. But as Jace turned to Talra, she gripped his sleeve and leaned close. "They saw us," she whispered. "Yes," he said. "And they didn't. Look away." As they walked home, hand in hand, a group of market workers stopped them. One alien woman handed Talra a small packet of seeds. "For your child," she said quietly. "Plant them near your window. They'll grow fast." Another man, older, gave Velia a hand-carved toy. I was wrong to laugh. You're stronger than me. Not everyone changed, but some did. And the ones who did so because of what they saw. Man who didn't buy a body, but gave a name. And a woman who carried that name with pride, not shame. They reached home by sunset. The message painted on the wall had been scrubbed away. In its place, someone had left 3 words: Morrow, family lives. And in that home, with nothing fancy but everything real, they ate dinner together. Not as owner and rescued, but as a family. Asterisk, the next storm rolled in without warning. Dark clouds, twisted like angry beasts over the rocky cliffs outside the town. Red lightning flashed across the sky. The wind howled through the narrow streets, blowing dust, torn cloth, and frightened voices through the market, inside their home. Jace was stacking heavy boxes against the old wooden door while Tolra secured the windows. Velia huddled beneath the table, her wide eyes glowing faintly in the dark. The lights kept flickering. The power grid was weak this far from the capital, and when the skies turned this color, no one expected help from above. Jack kept his voice. Calm, we'll be fine. This one will pass fast. Talra didn't answer. Her hands moved quickly, wrapping warm cloth around the window corners, but her breath was sharp. Her people used to fear storms like this not for the weather, for what followed, when the war was still fresh. Raiders used the cover of lightning to snatch the weak, the unwanted, and the alone. She wasn't scared of the sky, she was scared of what might come with it. Jace lit a backup lantern. The soft yellow glow warmed the small room. He handed a small pouch of dried fruit to Velia and helped her sit on the couch, then looked at Talra. You okay? She nodded, but it was a lie. He could see it in her shoulders. The way she kept glancing at the door as if waiting for someone to break it down, and someone did. The crash was loud. Not the door, but the back window, a small square at the end of the hallway. A stone flew through it, shattering the glass. Velia screamed. Talra ran to cover her. Jace grabbed the blunt bar from beside the fireplace and rushed toward the sound. Shadows moved outside. One voice snarled, You think you can bring garbage into our town and wear it like a badge, Morrow? Let's see if you bleed like the rest of us, Talra shouted. They came for me. They came again. Jace didn't speak. He moved fast, like a soldier who'd faced worse. He grabbed the cum beacon, pressed the distress signal, and then braced against the back wall. 2 figures climbed in through the broken frame, masked, lean, fast. They carried scrap tools twisted into weapons. Jace moved first. His swing was clean, practiced. The first intruder hit the wall hard and dropped with a groan. But Jace caught him by the collar and slammed him into the kitchen counter. Glass shattered, but splintered. One tried to crawl out, but Talra didn't let him. She stood over him, hands trembling, not with fear, but rage. She grabbed a heavy pot and slammed it down once, then again, until he stopped moving. When the town enforcers arrived minutes later, 3 intruders lay groaning or unconscious. The window was broken, the table overturned. Velia held onto Jace's arm like it was the only safe thing in the world. And Talra. She was standing in the center of the room, breathing hard, a red scrape on her cheek, and her arms shaking. You tried to take my child, she whispered. You tried to tear away my name. The enforcers arrested the attackers. The town guards asked Jace if he wanted charges filed, but it wasn't Jace who answered. Talra stepped forward. I want the council to hear what they said, she said. I want them to know we are still hunted, even when we follow the law. Guard nodded, impressed. You'll testify? Yes, she said. I'm not hiding anymore. That evening, after the medics cleaned her wound and the room was swept clean, Jace sat beside her on the edge of the bed. You fought for Velia today, he said. She looked at him. I fought for all 3 of us. Then she reached into a drawer and pulled out a small metal tag shaped like a crescent. Do you know what this is? Jace shook his head. It's from my old clan. We used to wear these when we chose a bondmate. I kept it hidden all these years. Thought it was useless now. She held it out to him. But I want you to have it. Jace took it slowly. You sure? She nodded. You gave me your name when no one else would. Now I give you mine. He looked at the crest. hasn't, then back at her. I'm not good at ceremonies. She smiled for the first time that whole day. Neither am I. They sat in silence, not because they had nothing to say, but because everything had already been said. In the fight, in the choice, in the storm. Outside, the sky cleared. The stars returned, quiet and steady, and inside that small home, something unshakable had finally been built. Not just protection, not just kindness, but a vow. Asterisk. Word of the attack spread faster than wildfire. By sunrise, everyone in town had seen the photo Stalra standing in front of the shattered window. Face bruised, chin raised, holding her daughter with one arm and a dented cooking pot in the other like a shield. Someone had snapped it before the guards cleaned the mess. And though Jace hated that their pain was turned into gossip, something had changed in the streets. People didn't just whisper anymore. Some nodded at them. Some stopped by to drop off food, secondhand clothes, even toys. One child left a hand-drawn sketch under their door, a crude drawing of a man, a woman, and a little girl standing together under a sun. Velia hung it proudly on the wall, but not everyone was happy. 3 nights after the attack, Case was summoned alone to the upper district, a place where outsiders weren't welcome unless summoned by title or threat. He left late, wearing the only jacket without dust stains, didn't carry a weapon, but he wore the crescent tag around his neck. Talra had hung it there herself. The building was shaped like a half-moon. The guards at the gate didn't speak, they only scanned his ID and let him inside. At the top floor, a man was waiting. Older, well-dressed, skin pale with faint alien lines along the temple, one of the mixed-blood nobles. Born of human outer, colony marriages, and raised in power. He didn't offer his name. He just poured a drink and gestured toward a chair. You've made waves, Morrow, Jace. Stayed standing. Wasn't the plan. No, the man said, but the story caught fire anyway. People are talking, some are inspired, others are offended. Offended by what? Kindness? Offended? He said, because you've made them look weak. A broken mother, a half-starved girl, and one human changed the conversation more than a dozen charity drives. Jace crossed his arms. So, what do you want? A warning, the man said. You're turning into a symbol, whether you meant to or not. And symbols, Morrow, draw eyes. Not just from this planet. From above. From empires that don't like stories where humans cross bloodlines and rewrite caste systems. Jace didn't blink. Let them watch. The man leaned forward. They already are, which is why I'm offering something better. He slid a datapad across the table. Leave this town. Take her. Take the child. Go to one of the outer colonies. I'll fund it. You'll live in peace and safety, with enough credits to never need to work again? Jace didn't even touch the pad. And in return, disappear, he said simply. Stop making them look weak. Jace turned and walked away. He didn't speak another word. When he returned home, the lights were off. Talra was sitting near the window, brushing Velia's hair while humming an old tune from her people. The child was already drifting into sleep. Jace sat beside her. She didn't ask where he had gone. She could tell by the way he breathed, by the stiffness in his shoulders, that something heavy had been offered and refused. She reached over and took his hand. You stayed, she said. He nodded. I'll always stay. He replied. Later that week, the town council called an open forum. For the first time in years, civilians were invited to speak. Jace didn't plan to go. He thought maybe his presence would stir more trouble. But Talra stood beside him and said, they'll listen if you speak. They'll believe if I do so. She went. No armor, no mask, just a plain dress and her new name. She stood on the open stage while dozens of faces stared up at her. Some cold, some curious. A few familiar. My name is Talra Morrow, she said. I was thrown away. She told them everything. It's not the darkest details, but enough. Enough for every listener to know what survival really looked like. She told them about the traitors who passed her over, about the people who saw her daughter as a burden instead of a life. She told them what it felt like to be claimed not as property, but as family. And then she said, "You call me alien. Say I'm not one of you. But when I fell, when I bled, when I begged, it wasn't a council that reached out. It was a man who had nothing to gain, but gave everything anyway. If that is not your idea of family, then maybe your ideas are broken." Silence followed, and then applause, one by one. People stood. Even those who didn't like her couldn't deny her courage. That night, when she returned home, Jace met her at the door with no words, just a look. And then he kissed her, slow and real, not as a hero, not as a savior, but as her equal. And in that moment, the girl no one wanted became the woman everyone would remember. He-Town felt different now. It wasn't just the people. It was the air, the way it moved around the alleys and market stalls. Lighter somehow. Less full of hate, less quiet with fear. Where once Talra walked with her eyes lowered, she now moved with her chin high, her step strong. People nodded. To her, some even bowed slightly, not because she had demanded respect, but because she had earned it. Jace could see the change everywhere. VOYA was growing fast. It's laughing louder, running farther. She had friends now. Friends who didn't flinch at her glowing eyes or tease her about her mother's silence. They ran together in the old orchard, played tag around the broken irrigation pipes, and painted crude signs to hang on the walls. Near their home, one read, "This house is safe." Another said, "No one is garbage." And outside their window, where red hate paint had once dripped, flowers bloomed in colors that shouldn't have existed on this world. The seeds gifted by the old market woman had taken root. Some said they only bloomed near real love. Others claimed it was just alien genetics. Jack didn't care which was true. He just liked waking up to color that morning. He sat at the table fixing the broken handle on Talra's favorite cup. Velia was outside practicing how to throw rocks. At a target she called mean boys. Talra entered the room in a long, earth-woven shawl. The scarf he had given her still tied at her waist like a badge. She sat beside him. "We've been invited." He raised an eyebrow. "To what?" "The new council," she said quietly. "They're building one with civilians, not just nobles. They want representatives from each sector. One from the fringe markets. One from the refugee quarter. One from the reclaimed zones. And one from the unwanted." Jace finished for her. She nodded. "They asked me to speak for those who were forgotten." He leaned back in his chair, staring at her. "What you going to do?" I think I have to. You won't be safe. Some people still hate what you are." She met his gaze. "Right. Then they'll have to learn what I'm becoming." Right. That evening, the stars above the city shimmered like spilled crystals. From the hill near the war monument, people gathered for the new council's first open meeting. It wasn't just about politics. It was about presence. People wanted to see who would speak for them. Jace stood quietly in the back. He didn't like attention. He never did. Talra stepped onto the stone platform, her voice calm, not shaking. She didn't talk about tragedy. She talked about healing. She didn't beg for acceptance. She claimed her place. And when she pointed toward Jace and said, "That man didn't save me," he reminded me that I still had value. Something inside the crowd shifted. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to matter. After the gathering, Jace and Talra walked home. In silence, the streets were lined with old lights and new faces. Some strangers. Some friends. Valia waited at the doorway with ink on her cheeks and a paper crown on her head. "I'm the queen of second chances," she declared proudly. They laughed and Jace lifted her into his arms. The days that followed were not perfect. There were still arguments, still cold stares, still letters slipped under the door, reminding them that not everyone forgives and not everyone evolves. But there were also new invitations, neighbors asking them to dinner, schools opening their doors to children like Velia, and travelers from other towns coming just to see the woman who had stood in the storm and claimed her name back. One morning, a stranger arrived, human diplomat from Earth's Border Council. He had read about them, heard the recordings. Jace didn't answer right away. He looked at Talra. She gave him a small nod. Later, in the quiet of their room, he asked her, "If I say yes, we'd have to move." She leaned into his chest. "Wherever you go, I go. And Velia? Right." "She's already picked out which room she wants in every imaginary house on the map," she said, laughing softly. They didn't leave right away. They waited until the council could stand on its own. And by then, Talra was one of them. On the day they left, the entire market walked them to the spaceport. One by one, people placed something in their hand seeds: coins, little charms. Bread, painted stones, not payment, reminders of what they had built, of who they had become. As they boarded the shuttle, Jace looked at her and said, "You were never broken." And as the ship lifted into the sky, with the child between them and a world watching behind, one truth echoed through the stars: he didn't buy her body. He gave her his name, and together, they gave each other something even greater: a future.